gone. Hockey just around home. 2 weeks of drama, history, and controversy. All the conversation around the 145th Kentucky Derby and its aftermath. It had it all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined now by the three stewards that were in the stand today for the running of the Kentucky Derby.
Maximum Security wins the Kentucky Derby!
The riders of the 18 and 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby lodged objections against the 7-horse, the winner.
This was my dream come true.
We determined that the 7-horse drifted out and impacted the progress of number 1, in turn interfering with the 18 and 21.
I mean, I'm like ready to lose it, really. So it's just real emotional for me.
We unanimously determined to disqualify number 7.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
It was the most bizarre ending I've ever seen. It's the only race when you have 20 horses, and these they're savages on a day like this.
When I was in the turn for home, War of Will bumped me, and Maximum Security started to veer. He went over 5 to 6 lanes. I filed the objection once I got off the horse on both the riders.
You know they call a foul, huh? They claim a foul.
I don't think I caught anybody.
You know, when I was coming around the town, they kind of pushed me sideways.
If War of Will's rider doesn't steady his horse and Long Range Toddy doesn't take up and come out of there, it could have been very bad.
Right there. That could have been an absolute disaster.
Hold all tickets. There's a rider's objection in this race.
He definitely went from the 2 path to at least the 3 and maybe the 4 path.
And that just pushed everybody else out.
It ended about 14 minutes ago, and this is sports in 2019. We're waiting on replay for a decision.
I'll say this. If it was a maiden claimer on a weekday, the winner would come down.
I think Louis' right. He straightened him up right away, and I don't think it affected the outcome of the race.
There's been a disqualification. Maximum Security disqualified from first.
We just won the Kentucky Derby!
It's the classic example of the ecstasy of winning and the agony of defeat. Obviously, the stewards felt that, the horse compromised other horses, and I respect what the stewards have to say.
It was an odd way to do it, and we hate to back into any of these things. It's a bittersweet victory. We'll just have to prove ourselves in the future. I'll probably be known as a Kentucky Derby winning trainer that won through disqualification. And I wish we could fast forward a year from now and just say you won the Derby and have everything that went with it behind us.
I mean, everybody's talking about this is 2 weeks later. This was just moments ago while that feature was running in the jocks room right behind us. All the jockeys were watching as it all played out. You heard Gary West, the owner of Maximum Security, say there, I'm going to respect what the steward's decision is. That was in an interview that did not air, but happened right after we went off the air. He's changed his tune a lot over the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of conversation. Now that you've had a chance to synthesize it all, where are you now?
Well, you talk about buzz, right? I mean, I've never had so many questions about the Kentucky Derby, ever. It's just such compelling drama, and a lot of the questions were along the same vein. I didn't know that horses couldn't change lanes. We didn't know that horses had to stay in their lane. They don't have to stay in their lane is the answer. They can change lanes even without signaling, but they can't change lanes, Edzo, and impede other horses.
Well, that's exactly what Maximum Security did. Jockey Luis Saez, whether he was race riding there to intimidate a little bit of War of Will, the 1-horse in behind the leader right now, but you have to be in control, and all of a sudden now that opens up a huge lane. Remember where he was. He was in that 2 path. He moves all the way out in the 4, pushes everybody else. You see Long Range Toddy get pushed out. Country House, Bodie Express, I mentioned War of Will. So when Saez gets Maximum Security back on, watch what he does to the 13-horse. Code of Honor. He bumps him as well along the lane and impedes a little bit of his progress.
And a lot of people say, well, Maximum Security was the best horse. And he was the best horse. And they say, well, War of Will probably wasn't going to win anyway. I agree with that. He probably wasn't going to win anyway. But it was this shot, I think, that changed a lot of minds. I know it changed my mind. We very nearly had a serious accident when you see those legs start to intertwine. And at some point, it's got to rise to a level of a disqualification. And I think that is what did it.
Well, Gary West, he had his appeal denied. He started a civil lawsuit. And then yesterday, about 27 hours ago, did something quite unique. The owner, along with his wife, Mary, who have put so much time and love into horse racing, they've decided to try to put some of their significant fortune behind their argument. $5 million offered to Country House, War of Will, Long Range Toddy, and Bodie Express. $20 million total. If they finish ahead of his horse, Maximum Security, in any race, on any surface, at any distance during the calendar year, you don't have to win the race, but do that. And Gary West is going to donate Maximum Security's winnings to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. His heart is in horse racing. He's hurt. This decision, though, is a little bit unique and different.
Look, I love it because it gets this game a lot of notoriety.
You like it?
I do.
Wow.
I was watching a Today show today, and it was one of their first stories this morning. So I think it's great for the game. Now, you could argue about the logistics of everything, but I like the momentum in the news aspect of it.
One serious potential drawback, though, is that riders could be riding not to win the race necessarily, but to just beat another horse like Maximum Security. Sometimes those interests are aligned, but they might not necessarily be.
We offered Gary an opportunity to come on this show and talk about everything that's been happening. He accepted and then declined, and obviously you see his response over the last 27 hours with this challenge out there. As for the horse, Maximum Security, where is he? Well, today he's being paraded around at Monmouth Park, about 200 miles from here. Instead of being here running in the Preakness, he's being paraded at Monmouth Park. But we have 13 horses with a chance to win the second jewel of horse racing's close round to Maximum Security. What will happen now? Here we go with the Preakness, and with the call to the voice of the Triple Crown, Larry Colmus.
Win, win, win is the last one to move into the starting gate here to complete this field of 13 that are all in line. We're ready for the start. Improbable, restless in the starting gate. Mike Smith and Improbable settling down. They're off in the Preakness, and the maiden Bodie Express lost the jockey at the start. Unseated John Velasquez right out of the gate. So Warriors Charge will go out to the early lead as they come through the stretch for the first time. Market King is away running in second. Another Twist of Fate is third on the outside, and behind them is the Maryland horse, Always Mining. War of Will is fifth and down on the inside. And then it's Win, Win, Win. There's a break of another two back to Improbable, who's racing about 7 lengths off the lead early on. Then Bourbon War, followed by Owendale and Signalman to the outside, and the loose horse is running in behind them. The two trailers are Ever Fast and Laughing Fox. 22.5 was a swift opening quarter mile as they head on to the backstretch, where Warriors Charge leads the way. Market King is second, and then it's another Twist of Fate third on the outside. And they complete this first half mile in the Preakness in 46.16 seconds. Tyler Gaffalione has War of Will fourth at the rail and 4 lengths off the lead. A similar trip to the Kentucky Derby right behind the pacemaker. And then comes Always Mining to the outside. Improbable is racing in between horses with 4.5 lengths to make up. And then it's Win, 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 and Owendale and Signalman is down on the inside. So they make their way around the far turn. Warriors Charge continues to lead the way. Another Twist of Fate pressing on the outside. Always Mining is getting going right behind the leaders, and now moving 3 wide on the far outside. Improbable is in gear as well, and then it's War of Will on the inside, who's now being ridden to keep up. Win, Win, Win is going very wide. Owendale too, and they're into the stretch, and it's Warriors Charge off the turn in front. Another Twist of Fate. Here's War of Will, and he got through an opening on the inside at the gate pole. Owendale is storming down the center of the track, but it's War of Will coming down to the 16th pole in front by 2 lengths late. A late charge from Longshot Everfast on the inside too, but nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness. And then it was Everfast in a photo with Owendale, followed by Warriors Charge, and a final time of 1 minute 54.15 seconds. Today was the day for War of Will.
Right in the middle of all of it at the Kentucky Derby. A close second when Maximum Security veered, but nothing in the path of War of Will for Mark Casse, the trainer, Tyler Gaffalione, the jockey, and Gary Barber, the owner. They all pick up their first Triple Crown win. And a very bizarre scene as we watch Bodie Express run the entire race. And because Bodie Express was in the middle of the other 12 horses, the outriders who were trying to get in position couldn't get there to try to get the horse without a jockey. Even made an attempt at the top of the stretch, but couldn't. And now they effort to do that as we go back to the win for War of Will.
Watch Bodie Express first at the start. He will rear badly in the starting gate as soon as they open the gates. right there. And it's almost like a bucking bronc at that point. And John Velazquez, there was no way that he could possibly hang on with a start like that. So now Bodie Express is running loose off to the far left. Fortunately, he didn't interfere greatly with some of the other horses in the race. We have seen that happen many times. And he's still running loose out there as the outriders try to apprehend it.
And you have to hold all tickets here because I don't know if Bodie Express got a fair start here, Randy, because the starter in the gate still had a hold of Bodie Express when the gate opened.
And let's go back to the aerial look at the start. Bodie Express is the 9. And there you see how they came out. The other horses clearly coming out as Bodie Express was bucking. The question is, does he have a hold of him there?
Meanwhile, what a fortuitous trip for Tyler Gaffleon and War of Will. I mean, look at him right now in 5th on the inside. One more look at Bodie Express.
Yeah, well, watch the starter on the right part of the starting gate of the 9. See his hand still there? The gate had already opened, and you saw his reaction. So I've seen this kind of play out in some situations where the 9 might be considered a non-starter.
Yeah, so maybe there's a scenario in which they would refund the tickets on Bodie Express, but Bodie Express was a 20-to-1 shot. Meanwhile, War of Will had a beautiful trip with Tyler Gaffleon. Outrun to the early lead. Instead of flipping to the outside, he sat on the rail, which was wide open the entire trip. It's as if the other riders haven't been watching the races. They wanted to stay off the rail, and Gaffleon had a dream run all the way up the inside to win.
Well, what were we talking about prior to the run of the Preakness?
This is exactly the way you wanted the race to unfold for him.
The inquiry that was up briefly is down. As you mentioned, Edzo, any questions there? The stewards did not continue to look any deeper. The outrider has finally gotten to Bodie Express, who had done another complete lap here, and there was so much traffic and a lot going on around here because you have all the folks who are nearby, and the outrider doing an incredible job of getting the horse, and fortunately the horse seems to be okay. To Donna Brothers.
Leon, Tyler, congratulations. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I have to think that this feels like a sweet, sweet reward and maybe even a little vindication for perhaps the longest 2 weeks of your life since the Kentucky Derby.
You know, I'm just so happy for Mark and his team. They do a fabulous job. Mr. Barber, he's always given me so many opportunities, and I'm just so thankful for them. I'm just very happy for Mark to get his first Classic win. Very happy for the horse. He deserved it more than anything. He's so special.
Tyler, we'll talk about the horse in a second. Let's talk about you. Your father, your grandfather were both jockeys. All you ever wanted to do was be a jockey, and this is your first win in a Triple Crown race. Just what does it mean to you?
It really hasn't even hit me yet. I can't even put it into words, but I just can't thank my family enough for all the support. My bro, and of course my valet down in Florida, Jay Glass, and my agent, of course, Matt Musiker. It's just a great team effort. I'm just so thankful.
Now let's talk about the heart of War of Will. Had a lot of trouble at the Kentucky Derby and then went through a narrow opening today. What a fighter is he?
He's got so much heart. We always knew he had the ability. We just had to get a little bit lucky, and today was our day.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thanks so much.
Nick.
And now to trainer Mark Casse, who is here with his wife, Tina. And Mark, I cannot imagine what you've been through. You've been in the eye of the media storm the last 2 weeks. Another glorious chapter to what has been an extraordinary story.
Oh, thank you. You know, we almost got it done a couple years ago, and this is even, I think, probably more special given everything that, like you said, that we've been through. So, you know.
How much did the Kentucky Derby aftermath affect you? How deeply did it touch you emotionally?
You know what? I was fine. I was absolutely fine because I thought I was lucky. I was the luckiest guy. And the only one luckier was horse racing because we were this close to you never seen him again. And
does that make this redemption all the more special?
I'm not even calling it redemption. I just, you know what? I didn't feel like he got his fair shot, and that's all I wanted, fair shot. And he showed what he had today.
He certainly did. Congratulations, Mark. And to you, Tina. Mike?
Big win for Mark Casse. 58 years old, 5th time to the Preakness, was 2nd here a couple of years ago with Classic Empire. It's a family affair, generation before and after Mark Casse, Norman and Norm, dad and son, around and about the sport. And War of Will gives him the big moment and the victory here in the 144th Preakness. Back to the start with Bodie Express, as we saw what happened there. And John Velasquez, the Hall of Fame jockey, thrown off the horse. Let's check on his health. John is standing by with Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Mike. John, tell me what happened out there with Bodie Express.
He was just not behaving good in the gate. He was not sending really well. He got me against Will in the gate, and obviously when the doors open, I was kind of off right from the start, and he kind of jumped sideways, and I had my feet out of the iron, so I lost my balance, and I went off.
How about yourself? How are you right now?
I'm good. So it's just disappointed. You know, when you come in here into a big race like this, and then things happens like this and with the horses, so it's disappointed.
Do you feel like you're okay? Do you need to go see a doctor?
No, absolutely not. I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to you, Mike.
He's Hall of Famer. He's won 2 Kentucky Derbies, 2 Belmonts. He continues to find no racing luck at the Preakness, now 0-4-9. By the way, the favorite, Improbable, unofficially 6. We'll check the official order of all the horses and the final results momentarily. We do have the payouts. The win for War of Will, who went off at 6-1, 14-20, 7-40, and 5-40. Everfast finishing second at 25 to 1 shot, so everything gets boosted. $32 and $14.40. And Owendale, one of the 2 Brad Cox trained horses, finishes third, paying $6 to show. And the Cox horse with the 3 Warriors Charge finished fourth, thus a really big $1 superfecta of nearly $52,000. Tyler Gaffleone, 24 years old. When he grew up, he idolized Jerry Bailey, copied everything our Hall of Fame colleague did. That's the guy he wanted to be like, and like Jerry Bailey, Tyler Gaffleone is now a winner of one of the American Classics. The bizarre scenes continue with the Triple Crown races in 2019. We had a horse make the tour without a jockey, but that jockey got his horse under the line first, and this time it counts for War of Will. Mark Cassidy had a horse who was so close last time out, denied when all the veering happened with Maximum Security. Not this time. One of the top trainers in the country and one of the top young jockeys are Triple Crown winners for the first time. War of Will wins the Preakness. With those shots, and now the Black-Eyed Susans presented to Tyler Gaffleone, the 24-year-old jockey on War of Will, a horse that was a close second when Maximum Security veered, but is first this time around to win the Preakness. Time now for our Gillette Skin Guard race replay.
And there you see War of Will tracking the 3 pace setters. Warriors Charge on the inside in the lead. And Warriors Charge is running at about, what, the 2 or 3 path?
Right.
You could drive a small car through the inside of the rail there, even though the previous 3 races run on dirt had been all won by horses who ran all or most of the way on the inside part of the racetrack.
You know what, Randy? I mean, just a similar trip that War of Will had in the Kentucky Derby without the problems as they got ready to turn for home.
And also the difference was in the Kentucky Derby, Tyler Gaffleone hustled him hard, leaving the gate early, trying to get the lead.
Right.
In this race, he didn't. And he allowed the speed to go on, and the horse settled much better because of that down the backstretch.
And the victory for War of Will. Look at that emotion. Our Gillette Skin Guard race replay. Brittany Urton from our crew picked War of Will to win and mentioned what a beautiful horse he is. Mark Cassidy said whenever we would train him, we'd all say, wow. Of course, it doesn't hurt that those are his initials. And the colors are being painted on the weather vane atop the cupola. War of Will, the winner of the Preakness. And there is your winner, War of Will, 4th win. In what was his 10th start, the horse finished 8th, was placed 7th in the Kentucky Derby. And it was said, we're going to find out who the best horse was. It was the quote around from this week from the War of Will camp. At least they've given their salvo back to the Derby. Here is your order of finish with Everfast and Owendale tight for 2nd and 3rd. Warriors Charge, the other Brad Cox horse, finishing 4th. Improbable finished 6th. Bob Baffert telling Kenny Rice, Improbable just got mad and lost it from there. And there you go all the way through. And Bodie Express, officially listed last, did not finish because of losing the jockey. To the winner's circle now. And here's Lafitte Pincott III.
That's right, Mike. This is where every owner, trainer, jockey wants to wind up following the Preakness Stakes, the cupola here at Pimlico Racecourse. Very proud to be joined by Belinda Stronach, the president and chairman of the Stronach Group. Belinda, thanks so much for being here. But doing the actual presentation, the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, not of the actual Woodlawn vase, which is far too heavy and valuable to mess around with, but we do have a gorgeous replica to be presented to the winning owners of today's Preakness Stakes. Governor?
Well, I just want to congratulate the owners, the jockey, the trainer, and really proud on behalf of the people of Maryland to present this Woodlawn vase. Congratulations. What a great victory.
War of Will's owner, Gary Barber, is not here. Receiving will be the winning trainer, Mark Casse. Mark, you said that this victory was not about redemption, but can you lend perspective to the level of satisfaction considering everything War of Will has been through, and for you to wind up here, a Preakness winning trainer?
Yeah, it wasn't about revenge. It was just about letting him show how good he is, and I didn't feel he got that shot in the Derby. Any trainer, when they take their horse anywhere and want to run them, it doesn't matter what kind of race. You just want them to have a fair chance and show their true ability, and I just felt like he never got that.
Belmont, perhaps?
We'll see. Gary's in France and at the Cannes Film Festival.
Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's not here, but him and I will be talking. We love the Belmont, so I would think probably so.
Huge win, Mark. Congratulations. Let's check in with Brittany Earton, standing by with winning jockey Tyler Gaffalione.
Lafitte, thank you very much. At 24 years old, jockey Tyler Gaffalione gets his first American Classic, a special moment here in the winner's circle. You picked up those flowers, threw them in the air, and said, I've always wanted to do that. As you were approaching the wire on War of Will, with everything that's transpired in the past 2 weeks, what was going through your mind?
I was just hoping we'd hold on. I didn't want to look back to see if anyone was coming. I saw the wire and I just wanted to get there.
These black and pink silks, Mark Casse, have been so helpful and supportive of you for your entire career. How much does it mean to be able to share this with them?
It's so incredible. I owe Gary and Mark so much. They've done everything for me. I honestly can never thank them enough.
Big congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Mike, undoubtedly a win that they will never forget. War of Will taking the 144th Preakness.
Inaugural Triple Crown, as you said, Brittany, for trainer, jockey, and owner Gary Barber, mentioning he's going to the Cannes Film Festival in France. Barber is the former chairman and CEO of Metro Golden Mare, co-founder of Spyglass Entertainment. Those are the folks who produced Seabiscuit and The Sixth Sense. So love of movies and racing along the way, as Mr. Lawrence Jones does the honor of painting those colors on the weather vane atop the cupola. That's a tradition that dates back to around the turn of the century. Mr. Jones, I spoke to him on the phone today, said he brings 25 cans of paint to do the job. Great story about him in today's Wall Street Journal. He and his wife come out here about 4:30 in the afternoon. He used to work for the city of Baltimore. That's how he got the job, and just got to get the right colors and the right mix to put that up. And it will be the colors and the silks for Gary Barber and Mark Casse, who has been very classy about what happened a couple of weeks ago. He's tried to be honest about it. One of the things that was said about this horse, War of Will, that the horse is a great athlete to avert what could have been, as Randy Moss picked up 2 weeks ago, right about now, what could have been a disaster with these horses. Well, some of that great athletic ability back in the one hole, riding the rail for his big move, on display one more time. Mark Casse, a winner of one of the American Classics with Tyler Gaffalione, taking War of Will to victory in the 144th Preakness.
And here she comes up to the starting gate. Congrats Gal goes in. And here's Midnight Fantasy. We'll be right next to Fighting Mad in the starting gate. And they're all in line. We're ready for a start.
No, boss, no, boss. Locked up!
They're off in the Miss Preakness. Kofefe out for the lead. Congrats Gal goes right with her. These two out to the front with Fighting Mad away running in third to the outside. And then it's Tomlin followed by Please Flatter Me. Midnight Fantasy on the far outside and Never Enough Time in behind them. Brunette Princess is down toward the rail, and Bye Bye Jay is at the back of the pack as Kofefe and Congrats Gal take them into the far turn 1-2 through a 22.24 opening quarter mile. And then it's Fighting Mad, who's third and a length and a half behind them, moving around the turn. Please Flatter Me is fourth and down on the inside. A length and a half to Midnight Fantasy. Tomlin is in behind them and riding the rail around the turn. Then it's Never Enough Time. Kofefe continues to lead and gets away now to a length and a half lead over Please Flatter Me, who slips through on the inside of Congrats Gal. And they're into the stretch, and it's Kofefe. Kofefe has opened up a 5-length lead with a furlong to run. Please Flatter Me left behind in second, and then comes Midnight Fantasy in third. They're coming to the wire. Doesn't matter how you spell her name. She can run. Kofefe. She won it by 8 lengths. Please Flatter Me was second. Tumlin was third. And Midnight Fantasy was fourth. And a final time on the board of 1:07.
Wow.
0.7 seconds.
Woof. Super quick for the Miss Preakness and Kofefe. Well, what do they say? There's a tweet for everything. Well, there's a tweet for the winner of the Miss Preakness Stakes. A very impressive performance. A third win in her 4 career starts.
Super quick indeed. If that time is correct, it's a track record at Pimlico by more than a full second. And that's after setting a race record opening quarter mile and opening half mile. Boy, when Brad Cox talks about the potential that Kofefe has, you see it in spades right here. Last year, he ran her in the Frizette Stakes against Jaywalk, ultimately the champion 2-year-old filly. Cox said he was very confident she would win that race. She came out of it with a bit of a hind end issue. She finished 4th. But man, has she come back in strong fashion now, 2 for 2 as a 3-year-old.
And she was getting pressure. Kofefe was getting, from my pick, Congrats Gal. And once they went that fast, Randy, Congrats Gal just kind of wrapped up there. But look, run as far and as fast as you can. And it's exactly what Javier Castellano just did.
What a way to start Preakness weekend. Yeah. Wow.
Impressive showing. Horse trained by Brad Cox, getting the victory. Javier Castellano, unfortunately, we have a horse down on the track after they cross the finish line, and the veterinarians and others who are nearby are going to check on the 5-horse Congrats Gal, who went off at 7-1. Just because you see a horse down on a warm day does not mean that it is a catastrophic injury to the horse.
Exactly. It is a very hot day, and after a recent spell of a little cooler than normal temperatures up here. So that's why they got the water hose out there to try to spray the horse down, cool her off, if that indeed is what's going on. But that's what you would immediately suspect on a day like this.
Temperature is right around 80 degrees here this afternoon. And of course, equine safety and the best practices for the horses and the humans, the athletes on both sides of that equation involved in horse racing, has come under the microscope over the last year after the spate of tragedies at Santa Anita in California. The Donner Brothers is not too far away from there. Donna?
Yes, Mike, I'm standing here right near her. And yes, she did fall down after the finish line. The vets are attending to her. And as you pointed out, she is being sprayed with water. I've seen the vet touch her. It would look like the vet is looking to make sure that she has a heartbeat, that she's responding. But we haven't spoken with the vets yet. They are continuing to put water on her, though.
Okay, Donna, thank you. They are a number of equine ambulances on the scene here at Pimlico, and also regular ambulances if there's a human injury of any sort. One of the equine ambulances is driving into position right now, and they will certainly do everything they can. This is something that all involved here, not just with Pimlico, but every racetrack around the country, and the Stronach Group, which is the group that owns this race facility, and Santa Anita and others around the country have taken a continued higher understanding of the concerns for animals, the safety for the equine animals, and the treatment. And from the number of veterinarians that are in different spots around the race course.
Yeah, there's at least 12 that are within reach of Congrats Gal there, Mike.
And there are others, too, that are not here at Pimlico on a regular basis, but are here for this week as well, given the card. The temperature right now is 82 degrees officially here. So, again, just a common thought when you see something like this, because as we discussed 2 weeks ago at the Kentucky Derby, you see a horse go down. You have no idea what the cause is or what the injury might be to the horse. Much has been discussed with horses and their hooves because of their need to stand up for bodily functions and just their basic functions. And oftentimes, if there's a break or a bone of some sort, it becomes something that a horse can't recover from, but you don't know what the situation here is here at this point. Here's Nick Luck.
Mike, thank you. Kathleen Anderson is the veterinarian here at Pimlico, and Kathleen clearly doesn't want to speculate too much at the moment, so she's gathering information, and then we will pass that to you just as soon as we can get it. The horse who has gone down is in our sight line here, and Kathleen is receiving instruction from the veterinarian who is attending to her at the moment, and as soon as that comes through, we will get right back to you, Mike. But the track veterinarians are on this. Kathleen, do you have anything for me for the moment?
Not at the moment. We're just waiting for the horse to see if it responds to the fluids and to the sedation for the heat stroke possibility. But we don't know for sure right now.
So fluids are being put into the horse intravenously?
Fluids are being put on the horse right now because we were better to cool a horse topically than try to attempt anything intravenous at this point in time.
Thank you very much indeed, Kathleen.
Okay.
More to follow, Mike.
Thank you. Kathleen is the on-call vet who is aiding everyone here at Pimlico. So certainly a situation of great concern there as they continue to look at the horse. Congrats, Gal. We'll step out for just a moment. All right, we are set as the horses are loaded for the Dixie Stakes. And with the call, up to Larry Colmus.
Thanks, Mike. Here comes Catholic Boy up to the outside stall, going in to complete the line. They're all in line, ready for the start. They're off in the Dixie. Catholic Boy away very well from that far outside post, and Perrette down toward the inside is flashing some early foot too. Real story between those two, and then Have At It, who sits back and settles into stride in fourth position. Then Flash Phelps, just Howard, and Inspector Lindley going up on the outside. Admission Office is next. The trailers are Something Awesome and Oh Dionysus. So they make their way around this first turn with Real Story sent to the lead here. It opens up a length and a half, running a 23.46 initial quarter mile. As they race on to the backstretch, the lead is a length and a half. And then it's Catholic Boy who's second on the outside. Perrette is running in third. Have At It fourth behind them. Farther out is Inspector Lindley in fifth, racing 5 lengths from the front. Oh Dionysus next, just Howard's on the inside. And in behind them comes Flash Phelps, followed by Admission Office and Something Awesome. 47.71 was the half mile as they race for the far turn. Real Story continues to lead the way. Catholic Boy second on the outside. Perrette is third, and on the rail as they make their way around the far turn. Oh Dionysus picks it up on the far outside, and Inspector Lindley is in behind horses midway on the far turn. It is still Real Story. Catholic Boy comes on second. Oh Dionysus circles up on the outside. Then Perrette, who cuts the corner, in fourth. Inspector Lindley is behind them as Catholic Boy comes after the lead with a furlong to run. On the inside, Real Story tries to fight on second. Oh Dionysus third on the outside and trying to close in. Just Howard's down the center, and Admission Office is flying and through an opening on the inside. But here's the wire, and Catholic Boy has done it. It's confirmed. He's back. Admission Office was second, and then it was Just Howard, followed by Real Story.
Amen to Larry Colmus. It's confirmed. Catholic Boy coming through with that surge at the top of the stretch, able to get win number 1 on 2019 and the 7th win in 11 career starts.
You saw a look at Jonathan Thomas there. He was just looking for a good launch pad, is the way he put it, for the remainder of the year. And he definitely got one. Catholic Boy using that tactical speed, getting himself ahead of most of the other horses, just parked right outside Real Story, the expected pace setter. As you get a look at the overhead shot of the blimp, this is where they get to the top of the stretch, and Real Story's taking them to here. Catholic Boy just waiting with Castellano for the signal to go, and showed his game as in the run down the wire. Now what the plan is, believe it or not, after this good race, is to put him back on the dirt. That shows his versatility. The Suburban at Belmont Park on July the 6th, and then they're looking at the Whitney at Saratoga, which we will bring you on NBC on August the 3rd. This is a nice start for him.
Oh, absolutely. And coming down the lane there, the Catholic Boy, the winner, kind of came over just a tad on the 7 Real Story. I don't know if they ended up incidental contact through the middle of the lane, but certainly it got very tight there because the 12 was out a couple of paths from the 7, and then they came together right down the lane.
It looked like there was a little bit of bumping right here, but let's see who instigated it. Real Story on the inside, the gray horse. Catholic Boy right-handed whip, and Real Story comes out into Catholic Boy.
That's why you need that head-on look there to kind of see how they do come together and make contact.
We will not have a Kentucky Derby redo.
No, we will not yet anyway. But that's why the stewards look at this head-on shot. It's not good for regular live TV because you can't see the numbers on the side of the horses, but you get a good sense of what was happening there, and that bumping that you talked about between the 12 Catholic Boy and the 7 Real Story, who ended up under the wire unofficially in 4th.
And a real good run by Admissions Office, trained by Brian Lynch. Admissions Office used to be trained by the winner of, used to be trained by Chad Brown, now by Brian Lynch, and of course the trainer for Catholic Boy, Jonathan Thomas. Outstanding job, and now the options are plentiful, as you mentioned.
That doesn't make any sense.
Mama, you're being so good.
That was amazing.
Stewards must have said something.
Waiting to see what the issue is here, possibly with the latch. No, we're good to go. They're off in the Hilltop Stakes. And it is Fashion Faux Pas on the inside who comes out running well, introduced now up and after the lead, and Super Escape is flashing speed on the outside of them. Make Me Dream settles in behind them. Aura More is outrunning in fifth. Ebullient is sixth in between horses moving for that turn. Then Dog Tag, who's outside of Cover Photo into that turn. Wide run for Who You Gonna Call, and the trailer is Nova Soul as they make their way to the backstretch. 23.32 was that opening quarter mile. And so it is Super Escape who leads them up the backstretch in the clear by 3 over Fashion Faux Pas, who's second by another 2.5 lengths. After that comes Introduced in third up the backstretch. And then it's Make Me Dream on the inside of Aura More, who's racing about 5 lengths from the front as they continue their way for the far turn. A 47.53 half for Super Escape, who leads the field into the far turn with Fashion Faux Pas running along in second. Introduced is third on the outside of Make Me Dream, who's down toward the rail. Aura More is going up there 3 wide, and Dog Tag is in behind them. She's going to come up on the far outside, 5 lengths from the front, and then it's Ebullient down toward the rail. Nova Soul is beginning to move up from the back of the pack too. She swings up on the far outside, and she is coming on. They're into the stretch, and it's Fashion Faux Pas, but Nova Soul and Dog Tag are both coming on with a furlong to run. And here's Dog Tag, and here's Nova Soul, the Chad Brown trainees, and they go by Fashion Faux Pas. They're 1-2. It's either Dog Tag or Nova Soul. Dog Tag's got it down to the wire, and Dog Tag won it by 2. Nova Soul was second, Fashion Faux Pas up third, and Aura More was fourth in 1 minute 36.71 seconds.
Oh, 2 stretch runs there after the turn. First Nova Soul, but then Dog Tag had more in the tank, and that is a second career win in 4 starts with Javier Castellano up for the victory, and that is back-to-back wins for Javier here on this Friday afternoon.
Actually 4 wins in a row, back-to-back on our air, but before we came on the air, he won 2 other races, including a stake. So right now, we're just all living in Javier's world. Chad Brown finishes first and second. Dog Tag and Nova Soul.
Last couple to come up to the starting gate. Unusual to see this 1.25 mile start at Pimlico. They don't have it very often, that's for sure. It's just like looking up at the start of the Kentucky Derby as Clubman moves into line. They're all in line. A field of 13 and ready for the start. They're off in the Pimlico Special. Rally Cry broke sharply from the inside and flashes some early foot. Flame Away now rushing up to grab the lead, and Flame Away will take charge early and is joined on the inside by Flying the Flag, and between those two comes Heavy Roller. So it's these 3 with Wait For It right behind them running in 4th position. Rally Cry is 5th and tucked in on the inside, and then it's Cordmaker followed by Clubman as they go by the opening quarter mile at 23.82 seconds. So into that turn they go, and it is Flying the Flag the leader, on top by a half a length over Flame Away second. Heavy Roller is third, Wait For It 4th on the outside, Rally Cry 5th along the rail, and then comes Clubman on Bridled Wand 4 wide, and Cordmaker in between horses. Break of another 3 back to Just Whistle, and then You're to Blame followed by Tenfold and Bobby G, a 47.44 half mile up the backstretch, and it's Flying the Flag up top. The leader by a length over Flame Away in second. Wait For It is third on the outside as they continue the run up the backstretch. Heavy Roller 4th down toward the rail. Clubman between those 2. Unbridled One is 5 lengths from the front and well off the rail moving for the far turn. And then it's Rally Cry on the inside, followed by Cordmaker and You're to Blame. So into the turn they go. Flying the Flag's been joined by Flame Away through 3/4 in 1:11.44 seconds. These 2 are now head-to-head on the lead. Wait For It is third behind them. And then it's Clubman Unbridled Wand to the outside. Heavy Roller has come under pressure and is dropped back down toward the rail. Then You're to Blame. Rally Cries off the rail with 5 lengths to make up. Tenfold is in behind them. Coming wide is Just Whistle with Cordmaker. So they're coming to the top of the stretch here in the Pimlico Special, and Wait For It has taken the lead. A 21-1 long shot to catch as they arrive at the 8th pole. Wait For It a length and a half. Clubman Tenfold gaining ground on the inside. You're to Blame is closing in 2, and here comes Cordmaker down the center of the track. They're coming down to the line. Tenfold in front. You're to Blame. Cordmaker. These 3 to the finish. It's Tenfold in the Pimlico Special. It was You're to Blame second, followed by Cordmaker in third, and Wait for It was fourth, and a final time of 2 minutes 2.36 seconds.
So Tenfold, who finished, as we mentioned when we showed you the odds, third in the Preakness here almost exactly a year ago, and then followed it up with a fifth in the Belmont just a few weeks later, able to come through with his second victory since, one in Saratoga in July of last year, and gets career victory number 4 here in the Pimlico Special.
You know, recently he'd been a bit of an underachiever. He'd only run 2 times this year. First time out, he was a big favorite in just an easy race at the fairgrounds, and he ran 4th with no real excuse. Last time he was 7th at Oaklawn Park in the Oaklawn Handicap in the mud, but Steve Asmussen, trainer, was very confident. He said, you know, this time I expect the real Tenfold to show up, and boy, did it ever.
Well, Mike, you mentioned about Tenfold running into Preakness a year ago. People that might not know, sometimes horses just love a certain track and the familiarity, and that was a huge race. A lot of different changes going on in this race.
Boy, Mike, can you talk about threading the needle? Look at Ricardo Santana now on Tenfold. Right now, it starts to tighten up on him. He's got to get through a tight spot right there. Now, this is coming toward the top of the stretch, and he does. And now keep your eye on him as he motors up toward the leaders. It looks like right there's going to be absolutely no place for him to go. I mean, what's he going to do? It's really getting tight on him here, but he managed to squeeze through and slide through to the inside much the best.
And that's the way he made his bid to win in the fog last year. It took us days to get through that race and really watch it closely, but he had to go 4 wide and find a little spot in there to get through. Didn't catch Justify on that day, but is able to catch the lead here and get the victory. You mentioned Steve Asmussen watching, able to see it and enjoy the charge. Steve is laughing Fox tomorrow in the Preakness as we get set for the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes. And with the call, as always, Larry Comas.
Las Cetas takes her spotted line, and we are ready for a start. They're all in line. They're off in the Black-Eyed Susan. Cookie Dough started quickly, so too did Brill, and Las Cetas will be off of them and sit third early on. Then Eulalie and Always Shopping in behind them, Point of Honor, followed by Our Super Freak and Off Topic, and John Velasquez will take their spot at the rear of the field and race about 7 lengths off of front-running Cookie Dough. And Brill presses her now. She's 3/4 of a length behind as they make their way around that first turn and through the opening quarter mile in 23.36 seconds. After that, Eulalie, third on the inside of Las Cetas, Always Shopping behind them. Our Super Freak at the rail. A 3-wide trip for Point of Honor and Javier Castellano. They're 5.5 lengths off the lead as they enter the backstretch and 2 clear of trailer Off Topic. So up the backstretch they go with Cookie Dough in front. And Arad Ortiz Jr. has her out there by 3/4 of length over Brill in second to a 47.02 half mile. Eulalie is third and right behind Cookie Dough up the backstretch. Then Las Cetas to the outside. Always Shopping in between horses. Our Super Freak is at the rail. Point of Honor continues to take an outside trip here with 5.5 lengths to make up. And the trailer is Off Topic. Cookie Dough rounds the far turn in front. Brill continues to race along in second position. These two are 1, 2, 3/4 up in 1:10.81 seconds as they round the far turn. Eulalie is third behind the leaders, then Always Shopping. And on the far outside, Point of Honor is getting going. And here she comes, and they're into the stretch. And here comes Point of Honor after Cookie Dough. Brill is third behind them. Eulalie is down toward the rail. Then Always Shopping and Off Topic on the far outside. Cookie Dough trying to hold off Point of Honor. Eulalie's in it too on the inside. Point of Honor has taken the lead. Eulalie runs after her. Cookie Dough is third. Point of Honor and Eulalie down to the wire. Point of Honor wins the Black-Eyed Susan under hot riding Javier Castellano. Eulalie was second, and then it was Cookie Dough in a photo between Brill and Off Topic. The final time was 1 minute 47.88 seconds.
A terrific move as they made the turn, and Javier Castellano, what a day. 5 consecutive wins in his last 5 mounts as Point of Honor wins the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes.
And wins it as much the best, Mike. She was 3 to 4 wide around the first turn. She took an outside path all the way around the second turn. Trainer George Weaver wanted to run her in the Kentucky Oaks. He entered her in the Kentucky Oaks, but she wound up on the also eligibles, the second also eligible. There's George, because she didn't have enough points to get in. So he said he was hoping for a couple of defections, didn't get it. Immediately he knew plan B would be the Black-Eyed Susan, and what a plan B it turned out to be.
Good call there, Edzo.
Well, thanks, Mike. I guess the race did follow suit, and there you see Point of Honor on the outside of the speed on the inside, and Cookie Dough was off the rail on a good part of the track on the backside, and then when the running really started, the 8 was what, Randy, 4 wide, 5 wide here, and just stayed right out of trouble and said, look, I'm going to try to mow him down in the center of the track, and that's exactly what Castellano did.
The reason I say much the best, you see where the winner is right now outside. Down on the inside, you see Ulele, who saved ground on both turns, took the inside path all the way. Cookie Dough had things her way on the front end. Brill had a great stalking trip in second. Neither one of those were good enough, and now it comes down to Point of Honor, and on the inside, Ulele.
Yeah, look at the 8, kind of comes over, you know, just, I think maybe Javier just comes in over on the 3 with Joel Rosario, Ulele, just to keep her into the race. I don't know if she might have seen that other filly coming up the rail like that, and there was some race riding there to get in, and she dug down, and just a huge performance.
So, Mike, Point of Honor wins by a half length, and she was probably 4 lengths the best.
Long trip, winning
all right,
trip.
Barkas in the starting gate, and they're all in line. Ready for the start. They're off in the Gallorette. And off to a clean beginning here. And it will be Mitchell Road up and after the early lead. On the inside, it's I'm So Fancy. Dynatail is close up too. Inflexibility is taken in hand to sit behind them. 4th early on, ahead of The Way I Am and Viva Vegas. It's 3 lengths more back to In the Lee and Barca together at the back of the field as Mitchell Road leads them along into that turn. Joel Rosario and Mitchell Road on top, a length and a half through that first quarter mile in 23.28 seconds. Dynatail is second on the outside. I'm So Fancy is third as they make their way toward the backstretch here. And then Inflexibility 4th and racing about 3.5 lengths off the lead, while outside of horses, then The Way I Am, Viva Vegas to the outside. In the lead continues to race at the back alongside of Barca as they continue their journey up the backstretch here. So the half was 47.07 seconds, an honest enough pace, but they're not flying along, and Mitchell Road is still the leader. Dynatail a length and a half behind. I'm So Fancy is third on the inside as they make their way into the turn, and then Inflexibility yet to be let loose in 4th with 3.5 lengths to make up midway on the far turn. Break up another 2 lengths more, and Viva Vegas is getting going on the outside. Still about 3.5 lengths to make up, and very wide on the turn as The Way I Am saves all the ground, and they're into the stretch. And it's Mitchell Road off the turn in front. On the outside, I'm So Fancy. Driving through at the fence is The Way I Am in third, then Viva Vegas. Mitchell Road kicks away again and goes to the inside with a 2-length lead as they come down to the final 16th. And it's Mitchell Road with the rail in the lead. Mitchell Road wins the Gallorette by 2.5 lengths. The Way I Am was second, Viva Vegas was third. I'm So Fancy for the final time, 1:41.21.
So it is the 4 Mitchell Road, a horse with many of the same connections as Country House, the Kentucky Derby winner 2 weeks ago. Bill Mott and company have a winner here in Baltimore.
Yeah, we don't have Country House here, but we have his half-sister here, and Mitchell Road sure made short work of this field. What an impressive performance. Unlike Icky Macho earlier at 1.5 miles, who set a leisurely pace, Mitchell Road was out there running, and she was pressured some in the early part and still managed to hold off the horses coming from behind. You may be wondering if you're at home and you don't know that much about horse racing. So Country House runs on the dirt, Mitchell Road runs on the grass. I mean, what's the difference there? Why one, why the other? Well, Mitchell Road, as you get a chance to see our overhead look, is by a sire named English Channel, who specialize in grass racing. English Channel won the Breeders' Cup Turf. His offspring tend to run on the grass. Country House is by Looking at Lucky, who was a dirt horse who won the Preakness Stakes. So, you know, it's all pedigree here, and Mitchell Road has now had 7 career starts, all of them on the grass. It's clearly where she's most comfortable, and Bill Mott has done a great job with her. He didn't rush her, he let her develop, and now she's won back-to-back stakes races. Her last start in February, she won in New Orleans, and now this is the most impressive race that she's had so far in her career.
Smooth victory on the rail for the 4 Mitchell Road. It is her first career graded stakes start, and she got a win in her first graded stakes start. Let's get it down now to Donna with Joel Rosario.
Ahmed, thank you. Joel, this was your first time to ride Mitchell Road. What kind of instructions did you get and did the race goes plan?
That would be the 2 Still Dreaming. So the Chick Lang Stakes, named for the longtime GM at Pimlico, Mr. Preakness Chick Lang. And let's send it up to our Mr. Triple Crown, that is Larry Colmus.
One of my favorite people, Chick Lang. He gave me my start at racing, actually. Preamble has moved into the starting gate. Here comes Confessor to the outside stall. And they're all in line, and we are ready for a start. They're off in the Chick Lang, and Lexitonian comes out running. Malpai and Gladiator King are flashing some early foot. These three out to the front, and they're just ahead of Admiral Lynch. Pyron is next, and then Preamble to the outside, followed by Still Dreaming, who's 6 lengths off the lead and down at the rail. Then Confessor and Cabot is at the back of the pack as they race for the far turn, where Malpai and Gladiator King go at it together, blazing along on this glib oval in 22.65 seconds. Lexitonian is 2 lengths off of them and racing on the inside, and right alongside is Pyron, who's 3 wide on the turn. Admiral Lynch starts to give way between those two. Work to do for Preamble. Preamble is still about 5 lengths behind and wide on the turn as Gladiator King tries to get away at the top of the stretch. A 44 and 4.5 mile here coming to the 8th bull. Gladiator King in front by 2.5 lengths. And then it's Lexitonian, followed by Pyron. Malpai is coming back on the inside. Admiral Lynch is coming back on the far outside. They're all coming down to the wire together, and it's going to be a photo finish, and it's going to be maybe Lexitonian. He was on the wire with Gladiator King. Admiral Lynch was 3rd. It's a tight one in the Chick Lang.
Of our 5 live races, that was the closest. It looks like it was Lexitonian by a nose, Randy.
I think Lexitonian definitely got his nose down on the wire against the gritty Gladiator King, who set a pretty quick pace and was hanging on gamely. Look at the last strides. It's going to be a head bob. Whoever has the head down in the alternating strides is going to get it. But right there, Lexitonian has his neck out and his head down as he crosses the finish line. How about that for a